You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hi there, Young and the Restless fans. So we've got some juicy spoilers for next week. I cannot wait to share about Summer and Kyle, also about Victoria and Claire, plus some sizzling drama with Damian, the real actual Damian, and his mom, Amy, and his brother, Nate. Before we dive in, please click that subscribe button. And as always, it's Belinda from Soap Dirt. All right, let's talk about the week of February 10th through the 14th. We all know Summer Newman has it bad for Kyle Abott. I mean, to be fair, she didn't even want their marriage to end. You know, Summer caused the rift. She caused the problem, but she didn't want things to be over with Kyle. If you recall, it was her mom, Phyllis Summers, faking her death and framing Diane Jenkins that was the thing that broke their marriage, because Summer knew Phyllis had faked it and was alive. I mean, she didn't know right away, but then she found out not long after. But Summer never spoke up, and she decided to leave Diane rotting in jail to cover up for her mom, Phyllis's despicable deeds. And once Kyle found out she had chosen to protect her mom's criminal shenanigans over his mom's safety and her future, you know, he was done. If you recall, he tossed Summer out, and then Kyle made a beeline to the GCAC and hopped in bed with Audra Charles. So easy to see why Summer had an issue with Audra, but Summer and Kyle divorced. She started dating Chance, and Kyle didn't even start dating Claire Newman until well after his marriage to Summer was done and dusted. But now she wants him back, and Summer wants Claire out of the way, out of Harrison's life, out of Kyle's life. So next week, spoilers, have Summer hanging out with Harrison and Kyle at the Abbott mansion for family night. I hope it's not Friday. I hope it's not Valentine's Day, although I'm certain if Summer could find a way to keep Kyle away from Claire on Hearts Day, she would totally do that. So Harrison's happy to see his mom, and the three of them are doing their family night. The kid tells Summer it's just like Halloween, and he mentions that maybe his parents will hug again. So Kyle shares an awkward glance with her. And the thing is, I'm sure Summer would love to hug Kyle and shove Claire right out of the way while she's doing it. And I do wonder if Summer's rival is going to show up on family night. If she does, then Claire may find Summer clocking Kyle, checking him out, and plotting for a way to take him back. All right, before we get into Victoria's panic, let's touch on Damian, Amy, and Nate. So if you have not seen Friday's episode yet, Amy is reading Holden the riot act for pretending to be her son, Damian. She called him out on Thursday, but then Friday it turns into a whole thing. And Amy and Nate both make it clear to Holden that Damian really needs to come see her ASAP. It's a matter of life and death, stuff like that. So Holden goes back to his friend and he tells Damian that his mom ambushed him, and she and Nate pressured him to get Damian to come over ASAP. And Holden does say that his mom, Amy, doesn't look good and he probably should go. So next week, we finally get more of the real Damian King, and he's over at Nate's place about to lose a gasket, totally misreading the situation. So Damian assumes that Amy is sick and that Nate is lying and taking advantage of her. I guess somehow Damian decided that Nate made up the story about them being brothers to somehow trick Amy, or maybe to trick Damian because he's apparently wealthy. I don't know what's gone through his head. But Amy clears it all up with her son and tells Damian she's the one that came to find Nate. He didn't even know her, and he didn't know anything about having a brother with Amy as the mother. And then when Nate tells him he was suspicious too and calls him bro, well, Damian totally loses it. He is angry and tells Nate, don't call me that. So no bro fest, not the big family happy reunion that Amy and Nate were hoping for. The good news is at least Damian seems more open to Amy, even if he is totally disinterested in getting to know his brother Nate, at least for now. All right, now let's talk about Victoria panicking. And of course, the topic of her anxiety is her daughter, Claire Newman. Everybody in the family seems happy to let Victor Newman run right over them. You know, maybe with Nick and Victoria growing up with the mustache under his roof, they're just kind of used to it by now, him steamrolling. And of course, Nikki is, because she lets him get away with all kinds of stuff that she shouldn't. But Claire is different. Maybe because she grew up around Psycho Jordan Howard, she's just got a stiffer spine than the rest of them. I keep saying saying she's a lot more like her Uncle Adam than any of the rest of the Newmans, except, of course, that Claire was raised by a psycho and Adam was raised by a nice blind lady, but he still had daddy issues and unresolved trauma. So Victor's on the warpath about Kyle and Claire dating. He just yelled at Jack the other day to keep his son away from his granddaughter. And Victoria asked her dad, Victor, what's the beef with Kyle dating her daughter? And Victor, he made some excuses about the way Kyle treats women, as if Victor Newman has any room to talk about the way any man treats a woman. Oh my goodness, that's just the height of hypocrisy. But anyway, I guess also he's okay with Summer being with Kyle, just not Claire. It doesn't add up. Anyway, Claire already talked to her grandma Nikki about what to do about Victor where Kyle is concerned. And Nikki told Claire, best approach, convince Victor that Kyle takes good care of her. He's protective. He makes her happy. So already Claire's taking steps in that direction. And she invited Kyle to have dinner with her and Victor. He agreed kind of reluctantly. And I'm sure Claire's going to have a hard time getting Victor to that table as well. So Claire's talking to her mom, Victoria, at Society next week. And she asked Claire, is there anything she can do to help her daughter? And Claire asks Victoria to tell her how to win a fight with Victor Newman. I'm not entirely sure that Victoria has ever won a fight with Victor Newman. I mean, this is the man who had her arrested on her wedding day to keep her from marrying Billy Boy Abbott. That's probably a story that Victoria should tell Claire, like, be careful at how far you push your granddad, because this is the kind of thing he does if he hates the guy you're dating. So obviously, we all know Victor's willing to go to extremes, but Claire doesn't know it just yet. I think she will very soon. We're promised to have a Romeo and Juliet story from them. So it is no wonder that Victoria is panicking next week when Claire approaches her about this, because Victoria doesn't want Victor and Claire going to war and doesn't want the rest of the family stuck between them if they do.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.